Broadcasting to you live from the Orion Spiral Arm of the Milky Way Galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, no longer California, Los Angeles, to be pseudo-specific. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Wednesday, October 8th, 2025, and this right here is called the TNAM Daily Show. Look at that top corner of the screen, TNAM Daily Show. You're watching this here on the new American media because the old American media has failed you. We're going to discuss James Comey pleading not guilty. Don't really know why, since it's very obvious what he's done. There's not a universe where you could pretend to be innocent. It's just not a thing. But he's going to try it. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how that works out for him. That is a bold strategy. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what's going on across the country with the calls for domestic terrorism growing city by city. You can see it lining up right now. What do you make of all of that? Well, something or nothing.
Everybody claims they want to make big boy money.
Something or nothing. I think it's worth paying attention to. 100%. Hello to Marion and John and others in the chat. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Let's launch today's show and start dumping all the news onto the table and seeing what we got. Here we go.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.
Thank you so much for being here. Happy Wednesday, October 8th. Did you have a wonderful supermoon, full moon? Did you do anything? Have a campfire? It may or may not have been wet where I was. All right. Now's the time on Sprockets when we dance. Question of the day. What's that from? Who catches the pop culture reference there? Now's the time on Sprockets when we dance. Now's the time on the TNAM Daily Show where we dump the news onto the table. Pam Bondi, Attorney General of the United States under President Trump, goes off on Senator Dick Durbin. They're having a back and forth about the National Guard and defending America from insurrection. There we go.
The National Guard is on the way right now as we speak. Oh, by the way, so is Director Patel and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. You're sitting here grilling me, and they're on their way to Chicago to keep your state safe.
Madam Attorney General, it's my job to grill you.
The National Guard is on the way right.
Yep, so this is happening. National Guard being deployed across the country as the domestic terrorism from the deep state Democrats grows. This is Josh Hawley debating with or discussing how the Biden Department of Justice spied on Republicans.
Things and the current president. I've also heard them said, and I just wrote it down because I wanted to be sure I heard it correctly. I've heard them say that Joe Biden never targeted his political enemies. Joe Biden never directed his attorney general to target his political opponents. That's interesting, because I could have sworn that yesterday we learned that the FBI tapped my phone. Let's look at it. We've got a list. Tapped my phone, tapped Lindsey Graham's phone, tapped Marsha Blackburn's phone, tapped 5 other phones of United States senators. Gee, it sure looks like targeting political opponents to me, and yet I haven't heard a word from that side of the dais about any concern whatsoever. We've got nothing but concerns today.
Yeah. You know, this country flipped upside down for Watergate and ignored Obamagate.
But no concern at all.
Call this Biden Gate or Obamagate Part 2. I mean, Biden was out to lunch. It was the same Obama people pulling the puppet strings as before. Yeah, different seasons, different exact cast of characters, but it's the same agenda being pushed. The same illegal, unconstitutional, treasonous actions.
For a Justice Department that is tapping the phones of sitting United States senators because who knows why? They don't like them. They're members of the opposition party. They're Republicans. They're conservatives. You've seen this document, Attorney General Bondi. Well, what was going on here? Who ordered this? Who ordered the tapping of the phones of United States senators?
Who ordered the code red?
Senator Hawley, I cannot discuss the details of that right now for very good reason.
You're going to do a thorough investigation into this, I trust. Is that correct?
We will be looking at all aspects of this, and I have talked to Director Patel at length about
And
this.
you're going to figure out who was involved in this, who signed off all manner of things, and the current president. I've also heard them said, and I just wrote.
Yeah, it's time to indict the traitors already. Bondi says she's on it. What was this? This is comedian Dan Soder.
You'd have to go into a crowded bar and convince people to agree with you.
Not
really.
these 20-to-1 gangbang arguments.
Oh, those Jubilee videos?
Yeah, it's just gangbangs.
20, I don't get that.
It's gangbang.
It's a gangbang, yeah.
Everything is foreign culture.
Have you watched these videos where it's 20 people against one person doing the debates? You know, trying to gamify conversation.
But it's not allowed to be porn. It's all porn without the.
Yes.
That's all it is. I was trying to do this as a bit, but it really wasn't working because I don't think people were understanding what I was saying. I was saying
it is a climax. It's gooning. It's gooning at its highest form.
You just go like, oh yeah, you're gonna argue with her?
Oh yeah, you hate white people too?
Oh,
yeah.
Say it. Yeah. Say what I want to say. Yeah. Say the statistics. And then say
and I'll say other statistics that go against yours and will accomplish nothing.
Yeah. Rub your statistics up against my statistics. Oh, I need
and we'll make a lot from monetization. You should have to go.
I don't know. I just found that kind of funny. Jeffrey Asmus is this guy, and then comedian Dan Soder. It's just there's a lot of that with the Charlie Kirk stuff. It's oh, this light is not on. I knew something was off. There we go. Rub your statistics against my statistics. All right, so look, things are ramping up. Secretary Kristi Noem on the rooftop of ICE Portland, Immigration's Customs Enforcement, is leftist scream, F the immigration authorities in Spanish, and welcome to the war zone. Noem just assured me she'll do everything in her power to ensure what happened to me here in Portland never happens again.
Especially the damn chicken house. I just see him. Welcome to the war zone. Our goal is that people would peacefully protest, but that we would still be allowed to enforce the law. That there are people getting to know for it. It's good to see. So,
It's so goofy. Nick Sorter, Benny Johnson.
This is absolutely nothing as to what it is at night, though.
No,
It's really bad at night. That sun goes down and it gets totally lawless.
Do they?
So
I've heard that. It'd be interesting to be able to do what we can to make sure that never happens again.
yeah, appreciate you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah, nighttime is a different thing. In Portland. Chief Border Patrol agent in charge of Chicago, Greg Bovino, announces that they seized more illegal guns in Chicago than in Los Angeles.
Shot striking an individual. That individual, as you said, was armed with a semi-automatic weapon. So that was 2 from a couple of days ago. Today, more of the same. Another semi-automatic weapon in the car of an individual that tried to box in a Border Patrol agent. Sean, we've seen more weapons here in Chicago in a month than we did in Los Angeles over a 4-month period. Definitely something going on here in Chicago. Fired several shots striking an individual.
Yep. So stricter gun laws means the good people are rendered harmless, easy victims, and the criminality starts to go through the roof.
Manner.
Joe Biden, Kamala Harris administration ordered phones wiretapped by the FBI and DOJ. More of this conversation.
Of things and the current president. I've also heard them said, and I just wrote it down because I wanted to be sure I heard it correctly. I've heard them say that Joe Biden.
By the way, Kenneth once dated a portly gal from Portland. It is the land of port.
Biden never targeted his political enemies. Joe Biden never directed his attorney general to target his political opponents. That's interesting, because I could have sworn that yesterday.
Maybe this is a lot of the same clip. I don't need to play the same thing again. President Trump answering questions asked about God, I suppose, here. Faith.
Felt for a long time that, if a country doesn't have religion, doesn't have faith, doesn't have God, it's going to be very hard to be a good country. There's no reason to be good. I want to be good because you want to prove to God that you're good, so you go to that next step, right? So that's very important to me. I think it's really very important. I felt for a long time that, if a country.
I mean, with the left, they worship the state. That becomes their God. Terrence McKinney says they made a Bible study for fighters in their gym and discussed what is glory and reviewed the book of John and Colossians. How do I pronounce that? Jesus loves you and so do I. Hi, Nimbus. Colossians. Actually, I'm going to ask Grok. Pronunciation. Gotta spell it. Colossians. Sounds Polish.
Started this show to.
Okay, so Candace Owens is doing an investigation about the Charlie Kirk situation, and she's releasing screenshots and making things be known. Here is a direct answer in response to this.
Address some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a group text chain that has been made known and released by Candace Owens. And I just want to address it head on because, that was a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic. And I want to go into it because I actually am really excited that the truth is out there. I first started this show to address some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a.
It restarted. Charlie Kirk message says, just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Respondent, ugh. Charlie Kirk allegedly says Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. And this is right before he's assassinated It wasn't murdered. It was an assassination, a political hit job, a professional act. BRICS News says Kim Jong-un wishes a happy birthday to Russian President Putin. Our friendship is eternal. Okay. What is this? These goofy birthday cards with Vladimir Putin? Okay.
I am not going.
This is Attorney General Pam Bondi talking to Senator Chuck Blumenthal, Democrat of Connecticut.
To discuss any conversations I have or have not had with the President of the United States. You're an attorney, you have a law degree, and you know that I'm not going to do that. I also find it fascinating, because I'll keep fighting to ensure that law enforcement and the judicial process move forward without political interference. No one is above the law, not even the president. That's a quote from you, Senator Blumenthal. Senator, I am not going to discuss.
President Trump welcomes Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney to the White House. The meeting occurs against the backdrop of separate talks of Alberta wanting to separate from Canada.
It's amazing. I would just say, more red for you.
President Trump, sir, your message to Israel on the second anniversary of the Hamas attack.
Thank you very much, everybody.
President was not gonna get distracted into that question at that moment. CIA Director John Ratcliffe says, today I declassified CIA intelligence regarding Ukraine after determining it is in the public interest. There's the report. Ezra Cohen says it's rare to see a Democrat CIA, is that DCIA? Prioritize transparency and weigh the public interest. However, under DCAIR, Director of the CIA, Ratcliffe, there we go. It has become the norm, which is refreshing. I guess he means director, not Democrat. Benny Johnson says newly declassified records reveal that Ukrainian officials viewed the Biden family's business dealings as evidence of a double standard within the United States government toward matters of corruption and political power. An email from former DNI Clapper notes that. Mike Benz jumps in, well, son of a bee. Former DNI Clapper notes that Vice President Biden requested the intelligence report on these concerns not be disseminated. Yeah, it'd be a shame if that got out there. Insider paper reporting Texas Governor Greg Abbott has deployed elite National Guard units after President Trump calls for more support to protect federal workers and property from escalating threats. Kazakhstan. Telegram founder Pavel Durov took a swim in the Kholsy Lakes, which are part of the state national park where swimming is prohibited. Let the man live. You're prohibiting swimming in a lake. I don't get that. President Trump is considering invoking the Insurrection Act amid legal challenges to his deployment of National Guard troops, says Toria Brooke. The Insurrection Act of 1807 grants the president authority to deploy active duty military forces domestically. So keep your eyes peeled on the Insurrection Act. All right, so what is this? Architects of Trump's Gaza plan, Witkoff and Kushner, to join ceasefire talks. Expected to join Israel-Hamas negotiations in Egypt aimed at advancing Trump's Gaza ceasefire plan. Their presence signals potential progress on the 20-point proposal that Trump unveiled last week, includes the release of Israeli hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners and Hamas's disarmament. Hamas says it is ready to cooperate on releasing the remaining hostages, but has not committed to other key provisions, such as demilitarization. Israel insisted the war will not end until Hamas disarms. So that's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Let's look in and take a listen. What is this? Just Fee Smith, Omari E. Smith. conversation about who is the government of Great Britain letting into their country.
So some of us don't have girlfriends. Some of us end up having rape cases. You know, some of us end up.
So what? You rape girls?
Some of us, yeah, some of us.
Do you know how many times you've done that? How many times have you raped girls?
I did it maybe 2 or 3 times. I did it once.
I did it 4 times.
I did it once.
Yeah, because a lot of times I was with him. Yeah, he's a friend, you know. I'm with him all the time, you know.
How do you go about doing it? A bunch of you push her into a corner, or?
No, so we do it much simpler, you know. One of us...
Dude, this is horrifying. The nonchalant way this is being discussed. Is this a skit?
Pretends as if he's a nice guy, he wants to get her number or something, and you would grab her and say, hey, shut up.
Surely she shouts, no?
No, we tell him that.
We make sure that she doesn't.
When you scream, we tell him that when you scream, we're gonna kill you.
Yeah, and she sees you with an...
Dude. Okay, Nimbus, don't step on the computer, please. Okay, thanks. All right, buddy. Wow. Open borders force Brits to house illegals while assaults and rapes rise against women and children. This government is anti-Britain. This video shows why borders must be protected and everyone vetted, says this Omari E. Smith. Are you pro-rape or anti-rape? I feel like this is clear cut. There's no gray area. This isn't complicated. You either don't want any of this attacking your loved ones, or you're an enemy to your countrymen.
Knife or something, anything that is a weapon. She will stay still. She will never scream. He grabs the legs, you know, both of the legs. I grab the hands, and then he deals with the clothes, you know. Yeah, and then we go one by one. We call it jack rolling, you know. Yeah, exactly, because you kind of jack her, you know, and then you roll her, you know. Yeah, it's jack rolling, you know. You jack her and then you put her on the floor.
I don't know what I'm watching.
Yeah, we would say, guys, come on, let's do this fast, guys. Yeah, you enjoying it, huh? And we would like beat our hands, you know, high five. What's it? You know, yeah, we're doing it. Let's do this. Yeah, you know, kind of like we're happy for a moment, you know. But after we're done doing that, okay, we're done, guys. Let's go.
Some of them, they're not screaming. It's like they wanted to be raped. You see.
Oh my God.
She also grabs you. You see, no
it's
more
like
crying.
She's enjoying it, you know,
see.
even though she isn't. But it's like she's enjoying it.
Do you think it's right? Do you think it's right to rape?
Yeah, it's wrong. Yeah, it's wrong.
What about the consequences of what you're doing in terms of how that affects the person that's raped?
Yeah, the consequences, we look at that all the time, you know, because it happens.
Dude. I'm sort of speechless here.
She might scream, you know, people might wake up. A lot of people.
I'm not just talking about, I'm talking about the emotional effect, the physical effect it has on the girl.
Yeah. Sometimes we know that we might rape her and wake up tomorrow with viruses ourselves, like HIV, you know.
What about regretting what you've done to the girl?
Whoa, these people, they're not people, they're demons. They're either playing demons or they are actual demons. They've been asked multiple times about, well, what happens to how you damage this girl long term? And they keep answering in their first person. But, well, yeah, I mean, it is possible I could wake up with a problem because of what I did. And he's like, no, I'm still not talking about you. The person that just went and took something that didn't belong to you. Person who should have never been allowed in the country. Is that the second or third time he's had to reframe this question?
I also do regret about it, because if she fell pregnant, what will be that baby's father? Who will be that baby's father?
But what about her personal feeling?
Still only thinking about what if the woman, oh my God, he said it. What if she fell pregnant? No, she didn't fall. You pushed her. Yeah. Explain to me why every rape isn't something that should result in the death penalty, being a proper punishment to make sure that the demons that would do something to harm someone you love, a child or a sister or a mother or a grandparent, like anybody, and you could imagine, like the proper punishment right there is the death penalty, right?
Thanks.
It's simple, you know.
Well, no,
it's
because
simple.
you're effectively, aren't you doing something that's hurting another human being?
Yeah, like he said at first, when you do something like that, you don't think about what might happen after. You don't think about the consequences, You just think about what is happening now. So some of us...
Okay. No, that's the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. Dick Blumenthal and Pam Bondi having a chat in Congress.
To drop that lawsuit. It was dismissed, so it's not subject to a court review. What conversations did you have with Mr. Ballard?
Senator Blumenthal, I cannot believe that you would accuse me of impropriety.
She is so annoying to listen to. I cannot believe that you would accuse me of impropriety. She is just painful to listen to. Ugh.
When you lied about your military service,
I am
you
not
lied.
asking
You admitted you
I am
lied
not
to be
accusing you
elected
of
a U.S. senator.
impropriety. I'm
You
asking
lied.
you
How
about
dare you? I'm a
conversations
career prosecutor.
with Mr.
Don't you
Ballard,
ever challenge my integrity.
had
I have
apparently-
abided by every ethics standard. Do not question my ability to be fair and impartial as Attorney General, and anything
You'll
with
answer that
my
question to
former
another of
firm,
my colleagues.
Ballard Partners.
Thank you. To drop that lawsuit. It was dismissed, so it's not subject to a court review. What conversations did you have with
I just
Mr.
want to hear it
Ballard?
one more time.
Senator Blumenthal, I cannot believe that you would accuse me of
I cannot believe that you would accuse me. Well, that's what's happening. All right.
There's
did
a
you hear this
bounty
one?
that was
David Harris Jr. reporting the federal agents arrested a Latin Kings gang member who allegedly offered $10,000 on Snapchat to kill Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino. The suspect also offered $2,000 for tips to help kidnap him. Yeah, these agents are facing real danger, and they need to stay in our prayers.
released. Juan Espinoza Martinez, they got his screenshot off his Snapchat because he thought it was just going to disappear. They got him in custody now, but he was releasing that he was willing to pay, and he works for the cartel, of course, $2K on info on these agents, and then $10K if you take them down. Now, what he means by taking them down is assassinating them.
Yeah, you heard the governor talk about Greg Bovino. If you don't know who he is, he's the chief patrol agent. And DHS is saying that this guy who you're talking about, Lawrence, allegedly placed a bounty on the commander-at-large of the Border Patrol chief, and that's Gregory Bovino. He was on with Sean last night.
Yeah, this is an attack on America. This is a war that's occurring, a civil war happening in real time that we're living through. This is happening. Charlie Kirk was a part of that. Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, and at the golf course was a part of that. This is an active civil war. This is a hot civil war. The Democrats have turned into domestic terrorists. I mean, I guess you could say this Latin Kings gang member is not a member of the Democrat Party all you want. Or you lump the whole cast of characters together. And they all hang out under the same umbrella, don't they?
Talking about this issue, he says that this guy, this 37-year-old Chicago resident, Juan Espinoza Martinez, was charged with murder for hire. He was arrested yesterday. He is a ranking member of the Latin Kings, which is a gang known for violent crimes and drug trafficking across Chicago. He's from Mexico. He came to the United States illegally. And yes, on Snapchat, he was offering thousands of dollars if you take down Bovino. And he put a picture of Bovino on there.
Right, there you go. And by the way, who are the thugs? According to the governor, the thugs are the ones wearing bulletproof vests right there. And the guy in the middle.
Yeah, they're demonizing immigrations and customs, and they're defending people that are coming in, waging acts of war against our country.
Latin Kings, I guess the governor's fine with that because these guys are running wild throughout Chicago, are really thriving for the last 20 years, but they don't want any help. Matt Scarpino says this. Targeting senior federal officers is a brazen and direct assault on the rule of law, and HSI will remain persistent, dismantling violent gangs like the Latin Kings that threaten public safety.
There's a bounty.
Act accordingly. Here's a live image of Democrats watching the illegal aliens they brought in to steal elections be sent home. Oh no. Our plan, our precious plan to sell out our country. It's our plan, our precious plan. Takes one to kill one. So Gavin Newsom, according to Kevin P. Kiley here, he's vetoed a raise for firefighters, calling it too costly. Also, spending $300 million on gerrymandering is a much higher priority. It's pretty shameful. Here's another case, Benny Johnson with Kristi Noem, acting like we aren't removing demons from our country who could just as easily harm you or anybody you love because, well, demons don't care.
Speak Spanish. Hello, I'm Kristi.
Benny Johnson says Kristi Noem arrests an illegal pedophile from Portland and tells him to his face that he'll be prosecuted and deported. Child abuser was arrested just an hour ago. The Trump team is not messing around here.
I wanted to ask you a few questions. How long have you been in the United States? You don't know? No English?
¿Cuántos años tienes en los Estados Unidos? 7 años.
How many times have you come in and gone out of the country illegally?
¿Cuántas veces has entrado a los Estados Unidos y te regresas desde México? 5 times.
5 times?
7 years.
You've been here 7 years? When's the last time you went back to Mexico? And is he convicted sex offender here?
Sí.
No?
¿Tienes cargos?
You're in Portland?
¿De qué?
What was your crime in this country?
¿Qué fue? Minor.
A minor? Okay. You also know it's a crime to be here illegally, and you will be prosecuted for it, correct?
¿Tienes entendido que dan cargos de arresto?
Do you have family here? No. Do you have children? No. No? So how old are you? 27?
37 o 47?
37. Oh, 37. Okay. And you're not married and you have no children? Okay. All right. Well, you will be brought to justice and prosecuted for your crimes.
Que va a haber cargos tocantes lo que explicamos ya.
Do you have other individuals and family members that are here in this country illegally?
¿Tienes familiar que están aquí en los Estados Unidos legales?
Are you the member of a gang or cartels? Or
¿Eres miembro de otra organización criminal?
No? All right. Thank you.
Gracias.
So how did it go when you came down?
So initially he was passive, and then when our officers, operators put hands on him, he got a little bit feisty. He's a big guy. He's 6'3", 260 pounds, so he put up a little resistance. So we had to take him to the ground to execute the arrest.
He's 6'3", 260, and then he got aggressive, and they had to wrestle him to the ground.
None of my officers are injured. They're highly trained.
Dangerous situation, and it's life and death.
So we were able to take him down, just catch him. That's what was resisting arrest.
Good. I'm glad you got it. Thank you for bringing him in. And it's one more child that we protected, or maybe many more. So thank you.
Yep. A known abuser. There's zero reason you would allow someone like this into your country. Zero reason. Democrats They're trying to support it and defend it, and there's no supporting or defending it. President Trump's calling the Democrat Party out.
Are you concerned about the delays at airports, and how do you see the shutdown lately?
Oh, sure. I mean, it's they're all Democrat delays. There are delays at the airport. That's standard. And again, this is something that every day we put forth a bill. It's just a continuation. It's a very simple thing to sign and very simple to do. And I really think that these are people that I think they have nothing to lose. They have a party that's out of control. They have no leader. Nobody knows who the leader is. I look at people with very low IQs like Crockett, this woman Crockett. I never met her, but she's a low IQ individual. I look at AOC talking about how if they want to negotiate, they can come to my office. She's not in that position to do that. And who the hell is she to say that? And then I watch Nancy Pelosi not knowing what to do. I watch their leadership. Look, Schumer is petrified of primary because he's not going to win probably against anybody in a primary. You know, Schumer did the right thing, but he handled it badly originally a year ago. He did probably the right thing, but he handled it badly. I think Schumer's incapable of making a deal. They are a mess. They're a party that has no leadership. They have, and they have no policy. You know, we have great, I think we have great leadership, but we also have great policy. We have strong borders. We have no men and women's sports. I mean, basic things. We're not going to take your child away and change the sex of your child. We're not going to do things like that. What they're doing to the country is so incredible. And they got away with it with all their woke crap, and now it's stopped. And we have a country that's based on common sense and strength and intelligence. I mean, we have the United States of America, and I say it all the time. Other leaders have told me this. Mark hasn't yet, but I think he would. A year ago, we were a dead country, and now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. Maybe Canada. I'll give Canada, but because I do like Canada. But you know, with a
Are you concerned about the delays at airports, and how do you see the shutdown lately?
It's a concern about delays at airports, but you know, we're still things are shut down still, and the Democrats don't seem to want to just vote on the continuing resolution. I don't know. You've got a stalemate, and nobody likes the Democrats. 19% approval, maybe? All right. Well, what's your approval rating on Candace Owens? She's putting out a lot of information investigating her friend Charlie Kirk's assassination.
3 people told me off record. 2 people who have this in a written communication from Charlie. One who is a Turning Point USA donor, and I would say very much one of the white knights in this. The very day before Charlie Kirk died, he expressed that he thought he was going to be killed. He told these people, I think they're going to kill me. Okay. He did not express that to me. So
this claim is that the day before Charlie Kirk was concerned he was going to get taken out, and then it happened. That is...
I'm telling you this based off the testimony of 3 people. And I am saying this because I hope that these people who I think are good will be inspired to come forward with that. Now, again, those conversations I had were off record. I honor that. If I say it's off record, it stays off record. But I'm hoping that watching what I am doing and feeling the energy that is rising across the world for people who want to know what the heck happened on 9/10, that, you know, they will be brave and they will say, yeah, Charlie did the day before he died think that he was going to be killed, and maybe tell us, who is they? Well, for once and for all, who is they? Who is the they that he thought were going to kill him? Now to answer 3.
Who is the they?
Know that
Benny Johnson here talking on Newsmax. Democrats claim Portland is peaceful. Sure, Jan.
you are in Portland, Oregon, as we speak, 3 hours behind us here in New York. You did a ride along with DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Can you tell us what it's really, really like out there?
Yes, Rob, we're actually broadcasting to you from the ICE facility here in downtown Portland. The windows have to be blacked out and tarps have to be put up because Democrats keep shooting sniper rounds into ICE facilities. Kristi Noem had to...
This is a civil war. This is acts of domestic terrorism.
Walk the premises today with body armor men standing beside her because the left is so violent here. Every time we came or went, left-wing protesters had to be cleared out of the streets. They spat on the vehicles. They screamed at us. And right outside, Rob, there is a massive bit of graffiti that says, "We own the guillotines. We're bringing them to you." That's the thing that is scrawled on a wall right outside of the building where I am right now, inside of the ICE headquarters. Now, why is ICE working overtime in Portland? Well, today we watched arrested one illegal criminal alien child pederast, 2 violent offenders, and multiple protesters. Kristi Noem faced them down. And I'll tell you this, Rob, the first thing that she did was pray to Jesus Christ and thank the officers here, the ICE officers who are working bravely. And we caught that prayer live, and it was really powerful. It's going viral right now because Kristi Noem knows where true protection comes from.
I know that you are in Portland, Oregon.
Battleground Portland, Battleground New York, Battleground Chicago, Battleground DC, Battleground Los Angeles. This is happening everywhere. Let's go to DC. Pam Bondi tearing into Adam Schiff.
No case. And Caroline Leavitt is one of the most trustworthy human beings I know.
So
and,
was she?
Was
she?
If
right?
you worked for me, you would have been fired because you were censured by Congress for lying with your
We can stipulate to. You can stipulate to all your personal attacks on the Democratic members of the committee.
Personal attacks. You've been attacking my FBI director. You've been attacking my office. You've been attacking.
But what we're interested in.
Borders are.
What we're interested in is the answer to these oversight questions.
You want your
you were asked by my colleague. You were asked by my colleague.
Attacking good people.
Regular order, Madam Chair, so I can ask a question. You were asked by my colleague from Vermont whether you will support providing a video or audio tape, if it exists, of Mr. Holman taking $50,000 in bribe money from the FBI. Will you support a request by this committee to provide that tape or tapes to the committee? Yes or no?
Senator Schiff, you can talk to Director Patel about that.
Well, I'm talking to you about it. You're the Attorney General. This will be your decision. Will you support?
You don't have to tell me what is my decision and what is not my decision. I said you can talk to Director Patel.
You don't have to try to.
You think you've got a gotcha with Tom Homan, our borders are.
Excuse me.
Who's been out there fighting for our country since Donald Trump took office.
I'm trying to ask a question. Regular order, please. And you don't have to defer to the FBI director to pass the buck. So I'm asking you, will you support a request so that the committee, or indeed I believe the American people, should be able to see that video or audio tape? Will you support that request?
Will you apologize to Donald Trump for trying to impeach him?
The answer is you won't support that request.
After you now know that Joe Biden tried to cover up Hunter Biden's involvement with Ukraine.
Excuse me. Let me do this because
was no case.
Will you apologize to Donald Trump for trying to impeach him after you now know that Joe Biden tried to cover up Hunter Biden's involvement with Ukraine? I know why his
and Caroline
indicted. Where is the Schiff indictment? Pure treason. Candace Owens, she's giving you the results of her investigation.
But I want to tell you that I actually believe that this was a military hit that involved foreign actors.
From sea to shining sea, yes. Her voice is so dramatic and annoying. I know, it's really difficult.
And also literal actors. I believe that day ran something akin to JFK's assassination. I believe that there were therefore multiple decoys on the ground. I do not believe, just so I'm clear here, that the person who was walking up the stairs killed Charlie. In fact, my suspicion is that that photo was not even shot on the same day. I do not believe that the person who ran across Losey rooftop killed Charlie. I think it was another decoy. I do not believe that shot came from a Losey Center at all. And we all know that decoy George Zinn didn't kill Charlie. And I received an interesting tip about him as well, that he's much more connected than what meets the surface. And he potentially has connections to the federal department, familial connections to the federal department. And we are prodding that. It's getting interesting. Anyway, that would suggest that there are thus for a total of 4 decoys, like George Zinn, staircase guy, maroon shirt guy, and Lozy center guy, none of which I believe actually pulled the trigger. Call it a hunch. I think it's much more likely that Lance Twiggs is the one that is walking in that maroon shirt. His build is nothing like Tyler Robinson's build. Lance Twiggs is thinner. And obviously I'm speculating here, but I believe Tyler Robinson was involved, and he was in fact driving around campus on that day, therefore assisting in the costume changes, likely picking up clothing. And as we broke the story, Tyler was seen at Dairy Queen. And what was he seen doing, as I told you? Dumping clothing in the cemetery beside that Dairy Queen. So I think that is what his involvement is limited to. That was his job, to get rid of clothing. It's completely a nonsense to think that a person who had never killed anyone was high on adrenaline after a kill and decided to eat Dairy Queen. That doesn't even make sense biologically speaking. There was going to be an adrenaline measure that kicks in after you kill animal, let alone a person, let alone having it be your first kill. And you're like, he just decided to go to DQ, sit down, write some poetic text messages. It's why they're freaking out about that Dairy Queen leak, because it disrupts their narrative. One of many things that disrupts their narrative. But what about Lance Twiggs? But I want to tell you that I actually believe that this was a military hit that involved foreign actors and also literal actors. I believe that that day ran something akin to JFK's assassination. I believe that there were therefore multiple decoys on the ground.
I mean, she makes a lot of good points. Actually, that's what I'll type. That'll be my comment. She makes a lot of good points. Button. Explain George Zinn. Just some random crazy guy. I don't know. It seems like a professional hit, that's for sure. I don't think there's a lot of people who are believing the official story. And Candace is concerned enough to activate her switch. What is the switch? She'll tell you.
But I went ahead this week and sent around a life insurance policy of sorts, a package rather, to people that I trust, a package filled with text messages, emails, private communications, videos, and private legal documents. So if anything happens to me, you guys will know exactly who it is that has been making my life a living hell over the past couple of years. People that are trying to bankrupt me and my family, that are threatening us, to sue us. Everything that Kanye said was so real. Okay. I'm now at that point where you look back and you go, man, Kanye was right. He was really saying something about what it takes to leave, to fight for custody of your own soul. Just leave me alone. Let me say what I believe and you say what you believe. Fight fair. Why do you always have to make this threat to bankrupt people? And I want you to know that those people, if anything happens to me, they have my explicit permission to release it all, detonate it all, expose all of these people in politics and in the movement who behave like this behind the scenes. It's necessary. And I highly recommend every single person that is out there, that has a platform and is going through things and is scared, do the same. Send everything around to about 8 people that you trust. And I mean, I've ranged it. I sent it to journalists, text messages and screenshots to people ranging from Max Blumenthal to Andrew Tate. They won't know where it's coming from. But I went ahead this week and sent around a life insurance policy of.
Yep. Probably a smart thing to do. Hey, this is a conversation we have in the group a lot. The circle of nothing ever getting done. I wake up. Democrats do something blatantly illegal. Then the GOP politicians are outraged, and then nothing happens. And then I wake up. I mean, we are sort of stuck in that cycle of nothing ever getting done. This is a
Like I
shorter clip. Oh yeah, check this out. You can believe her or not believe her, but she was visited in a dream.
just said, had a vivid dream this weekend, and Charlie came to me and he told me that he was betrayed. And so for me, you don't have to believe that, but I do believe that. And it was the immediate sense I got, actually. And I don't know who exactly it is that betrayed him, but I also felt in the dream that it is soon going to be revealed, that it's actually inevitable that it is going to be revealed, that there is nothing and no one that is going to stop the truth from coming out, and it is going to have international consequences. Take that to the bank. Quote me on that. Women tend to have a strong, like I just said, had a vivid dream this weekend.
Yep, you can't be a vigilante.
Baptist pastor Joel Webbin tells Christians they can make Jesus smile by joining ICE.
But you literally can join ICE and be God's appointed avenger, right? Who seeks to carry out God's vengeance on the evildoer. Immigration is evil. So to join the proper mechanism through ICE and to become, in that sense, God's appointed deacon to carry out vengeance on the evildoer who is devouring the inheritance of the children, that is a righteous thing. You can join ICE today and make Jesus smile as you, with a gun, pack foreigners into the back of a van to be kicked out of the country. Yep, you can't be a vigilante, but you literally can join ICE and be God's appointed avenger, right? Who seeks.
I mean, you've had just as many people orchestrating the human trafficking to lead to all of the criminality being imported into this country. Why couldn't you be a part of the force to reverse that? I mean, Kristi Noem with a terrifying interview with somebody who should have never been here. That terrifying video of those 3 people, and I believe that was England, being interviewed about how they are abusing woman after woman after woman after woman, and they can't even put themselves into the conversation of, or the mental space where they would even consider the feelings of the person who was destroyed in that moment. It took a certain force of evil to create the problem. So, couldn't good energy work to get bad people out? Of course. Of course. Portland anti-ICE militant is charged with assault of a federal agent and could face 8 years if convicted. Jaron Anzaludua Irvin, accused of throwing a large object at a federal agent, striking the officer in the chest with force while trespassing on federal property. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu promised to free the hostages and crush Hamas. He called October 7, 2023 a horrific massacre and emphasized that the Israeli army is delivering a crushing response. In Illinois, Texas National Guard arrived in Chicago. Troops may be deployed and patrolling the streets as early as tomorrow.
I think
Finnish President Alexander Stubb says President Trump is trying to bring out the whip in negotiations with Russia. Yeah, the president tried multiple times to find some sort of solution. And you've seen a policy shift. I think the president is done trying to negotiate. Whatever that looks like, whatever that means, there has been a policy shift. What is it here? I think President Trump, the quote is, I think President Trump started from a position where he tried to gently persuade Russia to stop this war. That was the carrot method. And of course, in connection with the latest statements he made, I see that the whip is also appearing. How big this club will be depends on the president himself. It's a carrot and a stick. Russian President Putin's special envoy, Kirill Dmitriev, says former U.S. President Joe Biden provoked the war in Ukraine to cover up his family's corruption. The truth is coming out and justice must follow. Today, gold futures, this was yesterday, gold exceeded $4,000 an ounce for the first time in history, reaching a new all-time high of $4,000 an ounce. Well, $4,014.06. BRICS News says Turkish President Erdogan says Turkey will continue buying Russian gas despite U.S. demands that it stop. This is Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem telling the Portland mayor if he doesn't get Antifa under control, something's going to happen.
With him and also the superintendent of the state police. I told them what we wanted. We wanted more security here at the building, a bigger buffer zone to keep our officers safe. We wanted to have their streets opened up again and not let the anarchists run this city anymore, that we would ask them to continue to back us up like we've been asking for instead of what they've been doing the last several months, which is just leaving our officers hang out to dry. The chief asked if I wanted to meet with the mayor, and I said absolutely. Came back and just met with the mayor, and I'm so extremely disappointed. He's continuing to play politics, did not commit to any of those promises, and said that he'd give me an answer by tomorrow, and I'm hopeful that he will. What I told him is that if he did not follow through on some of these security measures for our officers, we were going to cover him up with more federal resources, and that we were going to send 4 times the amount of federal officers here so that the people of Portland could have some safety. They could have some security. Today, Jesse, we went and got a sex offender off the streets here in Portland. I met with him and also the superintendent of the state police that had been violating minors, and we're going to bring him to justice. And this Portland mayor tried to brag about him making our streets safer. No, absolutely not. It is our federal CBP and ICE officers that are cleaning up this city, and every single day they're going to stay dedicated to doing that.
So none of these officials thanked you for getting these pedophiles off the street?
They said that they were glad that that was happening, but that they weren't going to change their posture. They're continuing to. Here's the deal, Jesse, is they're more scared of the anarchists that are down on the street right now yelling horrible, horrific threats at our officers than they are of the officers or the people that live in this city. Right next to this building is an apartment building filled with people who deserve to be able to come in and out of their building safely. I asked the mayor, I said, do you get to go home at night and walk from your car into your building and do so safely? Do you get to drive to work and be safe while you do that? I said, those people don't get the opportunity to do that, that had been violating.
There you go. Yeah, the whole time during the 2020 riots, I just kept wondering, where are the adults? Why are they not caught? Well, it's because Obama, Biden, they were all pushing it. And the president didn't want to get involved with the National Guard. Now we're not overthinking this. We're going to these places. It's been ruled upon. It's pretty straightforward. And it's getting rid of a lot of really bad people who have caused a lot of problems for this country. I hate immigration, Barbie. Illegal immigration. There's a difference. Yeah, dang. Hope those guards don't have to do any walking. Jeez, way overweight. Yeah, they called them Meal Team 6. Which was pretty funny. Javier Milei, I guess, performed a rock concert in Argentina from Not the Bee. Marion says, I love it when Brian does ebonics for pronunciation on names. I have to do the same. I haven't been prepped. I don't have a producer. Like, this shit would be written out on note cards spelled phonetically. I'm making this up as I go. I got a squeaky rubber chicken. Find me another show that has that. Some people have producers. I have a squeak. This was from the libertarian speech for President Trump on the campaign trail last year, saying, debate Bobby Kennedy. Are you chicken? Only has one eye or something. But yeah, I have to spell things phonetically. I have to kind of sound it out. If it's something I've never heard before, I don't really understand what I'm reading, what I'm saying. There's only one way I could do that, is phonetically. I think. Word salad last names. Yeah. I don't even remember what name it was. By the way, when you earlier in the show, right at the top, you said I don't get cultural references. I don't remember what my question of the day was. I was going to tell you, but I can't remember what it was I was talking about. Does anybody remember what I was talking about at the top of the show? And I said, question of the day, that's a pop culture reference. What is that from? I don't remember what I quoted because I read your comment and I'm like, oh, let me give the update. And then I talked about some other stuff. I go, what were we talking about? Is this the cash aisle? Yes, the cash aisle. K-A-S-H. Danette says this whole thing is the immigration Trojan horse. They allowed it to happen. Both sides of the same bird, birds of the feather. Both sides of the same coin, two wings of the same dirty duck. That's how I like to say that. Marion, it makes me smile. That's why I love listening too. You're normal too. Well, I pretend to be normal. I think they're buying it, boss. Yes. Keep up the great work. Oh, by the way, if anyone wants a mug, I have mugs, red, white, and blue. Red on the inside. There's blue on the thing, on the flag. Let me know if you want a mug. Oh, let me put the thing up. Tell you about our tip jar. If anyone's having a good time. We're on Patreon. I think we're going to make a post very soon here. Usually do 2 posts per month. Yeah, so Patreon at the New American Media. We're on Venmo and Cash App. That's my name, Brian Engelman, at the bottom of the screen. And then, of course, PayPal, fuzzinstallment@yahoo.com. Also, we have memberships, which is sort of like Patreon, I guess, on YouTube, and Super Chats. Still have to kind of figure out how to get that set up. I'll do that after this show. A lot of busy work to get handled, but, you know, it is what it is. We'll get it squared away. Got to get it set up so that you can make withdrawals of the Super Chats, but Super Chats are super cool. So thank you, everybody who has assisted us. What else was I going to say? Check out yesterday's episode. We posted, what was it, episode 7 or 8 of Strictly Football. That's with myself, Mike Barra, Jim Mitchell, and Ezrael Robinson. We're on season 2. We did episode 7 or 8 yesterday. A lot of fun talking about all the football games last week and looking forward to the games this week. Let's continue with Cash and Carry here.
Look back and think about it for a second. You have, as you now know of, 8 sitting United States senators whose phone records were subpoenaed by the Department of Justice in the prior administration. For what? For what purpose? None of these senators are criminals. They have no criminal activity associated with them whatsoever. Why did the Department of Justice and Jack Smith go in there and authorize subpoenas? And it's not just them, there's others.
And by the way, we said Obama started all of this. Put that button up there.
What we're doing in our transparency, in our commitment to transparency, in our initiative at FBI and DOJ, is putting the records out, providing them to Congress, letting them conduct oversight. But we will also internally investigate those involved. We've already disbanded the Public Corruption Squad at WFO. We've already jettisoned these people at the FBI that were involved in the politicization of law enforcement. And if there needs to be a criminal investigation, you better believe it, we're on it. Just step back and think about it.
Thank you, Cash. Obama started this. Weaponization of the justice departments to go after political enemies. I mean, just pure treasonous stuff. Absolute abuse of power. So this is Senator Jim Banks, Republican from, where's he at? Indiana. Talking about how Biden rigged the census report to give more power to Democrats and illegal aliens.
The 2020 census was a complete fraud. And we now know that. The numbers bear this out. It's been proven to be true. The Biden administration, when they gathered all of the data from the 2020 census, they used this shady privacy formula to shield illegals in the 2020 census. And this is why President Trump is calling for a new census first and foremost. I fully support that. But this week, yesterday, I sent a letter to Secretary Lutnick at Commerce, which oversees the census, and I called on him to do a few things. First and foremost, release the data from the 2020 census. President Trump wants a new census, and that's a big lift. That there will be a lot that goes into that. But I think if the Department of Commerce releases this data and shows what happens with this shady privacy formula, that's going to that should give the motivation for all of these state legislators in Indiana and other states. The Democrats are seizing on this redistricting in blue states like California. But the only way to right the wrong is to go into states like Indiana and redraw. Indiana is a barn red state. We are a very Republican state. You can pick up 2 House districts in Indiana, and the justification for doing that is because they were using this formula. The
barn red.
The 2020 census was a complete fraud. And
so, yeah, you can also call that treason. It's kind of funny when Cash talks, he never looks at you. Or he's looking at all of us. Yep. I mean, if the last census was fraud, you need a new one.
Do you?
Chris Cuomo has a very uncomfortable moment on air as he sets Eric Trump into a rage over his comments about President Trump going after his political opponents. Can you believe they'd ask this question and just compare what happened then versus what's happening now?
I think that it is fair to say it looks like the administration is going after its political opponents now and doing exactly what you say you oppose.
What, Comey? Because I mean, it seemed very clear to me in the congressional testimony. I don't know, just watching it, I certainly seemed like he lied to me. I mean, I'm also wondering what an FBI director is doing, taking memos from the FBI and leaking them to the New York Times. I mean, Chris, I'm a guy that hopes that the FBI director would be keeping planes from flying into buildings, keeping our country safe, keeping the Western way of life safe. Instead, this guy is, communicating every single day with the New York Times. I mean, I'd hope a lot better. But I find it so ironic that you're literally one that's pushing back on the weaponization of government when the very same people that were coming after us, went after your brother, like hounds. I mean, they did everything they could to destroy his governorship. They did everything they could to destroy his life. They did everything they could to destroy you. I sat in that same seat. The only difference is my last name wasn't Cuomo. My last name was Trump. They were trying to destroy my father. And by doing that, they were trying to destroy me, and they were trying to destroy the Trump organization. They were trying to take all our assets and strip our name off of every building in New York City. You've been on the receiving end of the very same people that I've been on the receiving end of. And so to play coy with me as if this isn't happening in the United States of America just seems ironic and foolish given what you've been through more so than anybody.
Hold on a second. What did you just say that you think I'm doing?
What did you just say I think I'm doing?
I'm asking you questions about whether or not if something is wrong, it is also wrong to do the same thing when you get back in power, which certainly happened the first time the administration came in. You went right after Biden. And I don't mean you weren't part of the administration. I'll get to you in a second in terms of what's going on right now. But if you think I'm playing coy, you don't know me as well as you should.
Chris,
I'm not playing coy. I know what happened to me,
Chris,
Eric.
did we,
I'm saying
Chris,
that
and it was
what is
horrible
happening now looks like what was done to you. That's why I'm asking the question.
Not even remotely close. What did we put as the comment? Democrats committed treason. MAGA is dishing justice and accountability. This is all stuff that Obama, Biden, and that team did. This is on them. This is exactly what they did to themselves. You can't blame the referee for calling out the foul, the infraction, throwing the penalty flag.
Did we raid Biden?
You're not rigging the game. They were rigging the game and we're calling it out.
Biden's home? Did we try and bankrupt Biden? Did they come after us? Did we weaponize every AG and DA, against Biden? Did we do that against Hunter Biden, who had a laptop from hell, pictures of cocaine, illicit drug use, prostitution? Did we do that? Did we make up a dirty dossier about Biden? Did they try and destroy Biden's map?
To frame them of things that never happened. This is not okay in any universe. It's okay to point out things that did actually happen. What Obama and Biden and Hillary and the Democrat deep state did was to frame innocent people of things they did not do. There is no middle ground on that. That is not allowable. Of course, that needs to be prosecuted.
Marriage, was any of that true? I mean, did we make up stories that Biden had secret servers in the basement of his home communicating with the Kremlin in Russia? Did we strip Biden off the ballot of multiple states? Did we take Biden off of Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and try and silence his voice so he couldn't communicate? Did we put Biden in a courtroom every single day? 91 felony counts that have all been overturned for my father now, right? For nonsense to try and keep him off of a campaign trail. And
it's not even remotely similar. Holding those people accountable for the crimes that they committed, the civil rights abuses, the election interference, the coup, the treason, the impeachments, trying to frame a person to throw them in jail for the rest of their lives, where you could probably Epstein them, to strip them of to strip them of Secret Service, to call him an insurrectionist. This stuff, this is the most criminal shit you've ever seen. And so far, the only person paying for it right now is James Comey. At the moment, the only person facing accountability is James Comey. Now, that better change, and it better change soon, but Eric Trump is right here to just kind of put this in perspective and recalibrate. Wait a minute. Before you go too far, you're way off base here.
To try and destroy his life. Did we do any of that?
Do you think that it is fair to...
There you go. So I think the answer is no. He doesn't think it's fair to say. Carolyn Levitt says the transgender maniac who traveled to Justice Kavanaugh's home to murder him and his family over the draft Dobbs opinion leak doesn't deserve a single ounce of sympathy. This attempted assassin, this is another attempted assassination on the left. And people wonder about the Supreme Court justice that didn't come back from his trip in Texas. Scalia. Was that something Obama was up to? A lot of suspicion and rumblings about that one, if you recall. Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt continues, this attempted assassination, this attempted assassin received a ridiculous lenient sentence by a Biden judge when he should have been sentenced to at least 30 years in prison, like the Department of Justice recommended. Political violence must be severely punished and deterred, not excused away. Agree. The brothers who killed Ethan Liming, stomped on his chest, broke his neck, and stole his car at LeBron James' school were sentenced only to 6 months and 18 months each. Let me look this one up. This didn't seem right to me. Sentences for the two killers at LeBron James' school. This was back in 2022. 18 months in prison, 6 months in jail, and 880 days suspended. Oh my God. This is. Initially charged with murder and felonious assault. After a trial, involuntary manslaughter charges dismissed or resulted in acquittals, with convictions limited to assault-related counts. Fatally beaten in the parking lot of the I Promise School in Akron. School funded by LeBron James Foundation for At-Risk Youth. There's a fight on the basketball court. Kid was punched, hit his head on the pavement, and kicked while unconscious, leading to death from blunt force trauma. Every time you see these fights and it's kicks to the head, and like this is attempted murder. And that kid was killed, and these guys only got 18 months. This is actually, unfortunately, true. And people that are doing unforgivable stuff, and they get away with it, they keep doing more of it. The Irina Zarutska killer. He had been arrested, 20 times, 30 times, something like that? Daily Mail reporting here that Biden covered Biden ordered a CIA cover-up of his corrupt business ties to Ukraine, the astonishing secret files show. Biden quashed the release of a CIA memo indicating concerns over his family's allegedly corrupt business ties to Ukraine. It emerged today. CIA Director Ratcliffe declassified a stunning memo on Wednesday after review of historical records from Biden's tenure as VP. The top secret document filled with redactions also highlights how Ukrainian government officials were uneasy about Biden's visits to the country during the Obama administration. The dossier details how officials in Kyiv privately raged at Biden for coming to their nation to lecture them about corruption while his son Hunter was sitting on the board of a Ukrainian gas company. The officials believe that the position held by the VP's son showed that there was a double standard in the U.S. government regarding corruption in politics. Included in Ratcliffe's release is a portion of an email sent which states that then VP Biden would strongly prefer the report not be disseminated. The email was signed PDB Briefer, Presidential Daily Briefing, daily intelligence report regularly compiled by U.S. intelligence agencies. Up to his eyeballs in corruption. Matt Gaetz wants to talk about how humans are being bought and sold. Maybe not exactly the way that you would think, but maybe this is even more humiliating. A high-tech brothel, perhaps, asks this commenter.
Initially, I resented the fact that there was no appreciation for nuance. Like if you asked any questions about any decision of the Israeli government in any place regarding settlements, regarding Gaza, whatever, you were like, you had deviated from the script. And I just, in any policy area, I had resentment over that. And then I saw the way the AIPAC worked, and that was weird for like a country lawyer like me. I remember my first AIPAC reception, and like your fundraiser tells you have to go, and your chief of staff tells you have to go, your committee chairman all tell you have to go, and you get there and you wear this name badge, and I remember there's a QR code on it. And what we were supposed to do was go talk to donors, and then if they liked you, they scanned your QR code to make a donation, like on the spot. And so can you just imagine how demoralizing that is to like be told that your job for the next several hours to go chat people up, hoping they would scan you like a can of tomato soup on the way out of the meeting.
I mean, it's literally purchasing.
Right. And so I saw that and I was like, wow, that is so freaking weird. And then, I was in Israel. I went multiple times, and I did not like the fact that I found someone in my room rooting around in my stuff that should not have been there.
Someone's broken into his hotel room, rooting through his stuff. Oh, that's really bad.
King David Hotel, when I came back to my room when no one was expecting me to be back in my room. And I just
presumably Israeli law enforcement.
Well, I don't know who it was. I just thought, like, this is weird. All of these things combined are odd. And then the policy outgrowth seems to be an obsession about the Middle East that has not served my generation well. I just don't. Initially, I resented.
This is the guy who could have been Pam Bondi. Vicky Richter here, pointing out the moment in Osman Moalem tried to kidnap a teenager. She was waiting for her friends outside Liverpool Lime Street Station. Dragging a schoolgirl off the street gets you a slap on the wrist, but posting a politically incorrect meme can destroy your life. The latest horror show stars Osman Moalem, a man caught on video attempting to kidnap a schoolgirl. You think that'd be enough to keep him behind bars for a very long time, but no. He received a lighter sentence than people who merely post the wrong thing online.
Okay? So this moment in time, you're under arrest for common assault. Okay? You don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defense if you don't mention when questioned, something we should lay around in court.
And there's music here. Defend the UK button. It's organized and it's terrible. Hey, look at all the red counties. Listen to Kamala lie about last election.
And here's the other thing that is quite unprecedented.
Mm-hmm.
And
It was the tightest, closest presidential election in the 21st century.
Bitch, you didn't win one motherfucking swing state. Let me show you something. You didn't even get to almost. You not even Brandy, bitch. Almost doesn't count, and you not even fucking Brandy. You want a participation trophy so motherfucking bad, well, they don't hand that shit out. You either won or you fucking lost. Stupid motherfucker. Nigga always gonna, man, I almost won. How you almost won some shit you lost?
That's some great energy there. This Rely pointing out only one in states that don't require an ID to vote. Well, there's some truth to that, but yeah, the states that have very lax, exploitable election provisions. I mean, it was a landslide. I just can't believe they're letting Kamala keep talking. What is this? Life by Thor. There are men out here today with more Pfizer in them than testosterone. That's terrifying. Two types of people in the world. What is that? Gloves and without gloves? I don't know. What's the reference there? This is the one I wanted to share. Their agenda was simple: get mothers out of the home, put kids in state schools, tax both sexes, and redefine femininity as servitude to corporations instead of to family. Masculinity used to protect villages, defend truth, and guard the sacred. Today, masculinity is mocked, inverted, and labeled toxic. Inversion is their agenda. There is nothing toxic about your masculinity. High testosterone men cannot be enslaved because we are the ones who carry the codes of revolution. That is why you were taught to fear your own power. The war on testosterone is a war on God, because a man in his masculine power is a reflection of divine order. Nothing terrifies the system more than men who remember who they are. Soon you will see what you should have been prioritizing all along. Maximize your stats. Okay. They're about ready to sell me something, I'm guessing. Without sacred masculinity, families fall and truth is buried and tyranny thrives. All right. Yeah, fighting the resistance in 1914 was like in a trench in World War I, and today it's some solar panels, collecting your water, and growing your food off the grid. Welcome to the revolution. I like that. Benny Johnson says, after Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump were both shot in the head by Democrats, you probably don't need more proof that Democrats want to kill you, but if you do, boy, do I have a story for you. Meet Jay Jones. He's the Democrat candidate for Attorney General of Virginia. Jay publicly fantasizes about shooting his GOP rival, House Speaker Todd Gilbert, twice in the head and then pissing on his grave. He also wished death upon Gilbert's small children, calling them little fascists, saying that only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. President Trump, J.D. Vance, and even MSNBC have demanded Jones drop out immediately, yet the Democrat Party and their support groups have kept their full endorsement of Jones. They have doubled down on the guy who wants to murder Republican children. That tells you everything. Democrats are the party of violence and domestic terrorism. They will vote for people who want to kill you and your children for power. These people want you dead. They aren't even hiding it. Many Democrats think this way. Jay Jones must drop out and face a full investigation. This is the same dangerous sickness that led to Charlie Kirk's assassination and 2 attempts on President Trump's life. Enough is enough. No more Democrats. Button. Reminder, the 52,000 Christians have been murdered in Nigeria. Why is nobody talking about it? They were mothers, fathers, children, believers who refused to deny their faith. In Nigeria, 52,000 Christians and more have been slaughtered in brutal attacks, their churches burned, their villages erased, and yet the world remains silent. No headlines, no outrage, no justice, just silence. Will Greta Thunberg be going there next? All right, check this out. You want to see the most American video on the internet? Yes, you do.
Action!
I mean, to sync this up as the jets were flying overhead, going down the slide, onto the surfboard, saluting the planes, the front flip off of the surfboard. This is fantastic.
Action!
A sequence of events on Lake Powell, a popular recreational area. Oh, it's a man in an American flag swim trunks as well. Fly over 3 Lockheed F-117 Nighthawks. Retired stealth attack aircraft. It's officially retired, but it occasionally appears at public events as seen here. Part of a demonstration or training exercise. All right. The eagle screeches in the distance. Yep, that girl's screeching. It is one more time. I mean, that's a pretty great video. I'm tempted to stop there. Jason Whitlock wants to talk about what's going on at the Super Bowl halftime show. It's going to be the world's largest drag show, is what people are anticipating. Whitlock has thoughts on this.
What is that a picture of? That's not Bad Bunny. That was Bad Bunny with the breast out. They're grooming our babies.
And they have music underneath this. I can't play this if there's music underneath it. Doggone it.
Going to pay a price for this. We're about to have a halftime show where most of the audience
will have no idea what's going on. Jason Whitlock guarantees you Bad Bunny is going to put on a drag show at halftime. Because that's how he got here, by redefining masculinity, by dressing up in women's clothing, by pretending, well, I'm not gay, I'm sexually fluid, I might get into men later in life. The National Football League, they don't respect the fans. They don't respect Americans. Right now, I'm just talking about the spiritual aspect of what they're doing, which is clearly the most important part of this. This is a demonic force. And, oh, you're making too much of it. No, I'm not. They're telling us in big, bold letters, we hate Jesus, and your kids will be watching, and you'll have to explain to your kids, why is this man dressed like a woman for part of this halftime show? They want to normalize that for you and your kids. But you keep watching. You keep supporting. I love football, but I fear God more than I love football. So is that what we should expect? I think that's what we're going to get. And I guess the question is why? Why do they keep pushing this? Because it is definitely being pushed. All right, let's switch over here to our X account at American_media_. I need to repin my Patreon. Maybe I should do that now while I'm thinking about it. I'll probably do it later. But it's me probably doing it later, which means that I don't get around to it. And I need to get around to. Okay, so you got people here A crowd of Islamists in New York City waving Hamas flags, declaring they will presumably carry out attacks in the U.S. This is happening in America, people. Take a listen.
We did not act enough. We did not act enough. We did not act enough. Repeat after me. We did not act enough. We did not act enough. If we acted enough. If we acted enough. The headline behind me would read. The headline behind me would read. Gaza has been liberated. So our work is not done. We must show up. We must show up. Stronger than we did the first October 7th. Louder than we did the first October 7th. To make it clear that we are not going anywhere. We will keep fighting until Palestine is free. From the river to the sea. Within our lifetime. Make some noise.
Are you taking it seriously yet? Do you see the civil war happening? Threatening terrorism. Getting away with it. President Trump says Chicago mayor should be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers, and Governor Pritzker also. Mayor Brandon Johnson says this is not the first time Trump has tried to have a black man unjustly arrested. I'm not going anywhere. What is he talking about? Does anyone have any idea what this guy, Brandon Johnson, is talking about? We ask, is Brandon Johnson the worst race arsonist in American politics? Shameful comments and actions from Johnson. Shameful comments, shameful actions. Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois says, I will not back down. Trump is now calling for the arrest of elected representatives, checking his power. Response to that being Pritzker's precinct allowed calls of distress to go unanswered. Of course, there must be repercussions. James Lee talks about the assassinations of JFK, RFK, MLK, and now Charlie Kirk, CJK, all following the same pattern.
Every single one of these cases, based on the evidence, JFK, RFK, MLK, and now Charlie Kirk, starts and ends the same way. A, there's a lone gunman with a politically convenient motive. B, a bullet that performs like magic. It's bending in midair or defying physics, or in the case of Charlie, stopping cold. And C, right on cue, key evidence just disappears. The limousine gets scrubbed. The pantry walls get torn down. The bushes get cut. And now there's a campus getting rebuilt. And what we're told to do is not ask any questions. Questions like, who benefits from all of this? Who profits? And why were these cases closed so quickly? Was it, in this case, a disturbed young man with a rifle? Or was there maybe somebody behind him? Somebody else? Maybe a handler, an agenda, a network. Could be domestic, could be foreign. None of that we can say for sure, but what we can say is that the story that we're being told doesn't make any sense. So here we are, once again, in order to make all the evidence fit, we're asked to believe in a miracle.
And that's why Candace is out there doing her investigation. By the way, everybody, we are within striking distance of getting our eligibility back for advertising revenue on our YouTube channel. If you would be so kind as to watch some of our 1,900 videos, get a couple extra hours going. We're about 497 hours shy of applying. We do have our memberships active on YouTube and our super chats active on YouTube. Thank you for helping us set that up. And we are close. We need a little bit more help. If you can watch a couple more videos, people, please. Then we could qualify for getting our advertisements placed back into our videos. That would be super helpful. But yeah, I'm very grateful that people are investigating, running alternative investigations. I know 60 years later, we don't even know the truth on JFK. All right, James Comey in court, 2 felony federal charges, making false statements and obstruction of a congressional proceeding. Let's take a look at the update.
FBI Director James.
Why is it so quiet? Here we go. Try it again. FBI Director James Comey.
FBI Director James Comey in front of a judge moments ago in a hearing that we did not think would last long, and apparently that is the case. He has entered a plea of not guilty to 2 charges, federal level now. Our producers inside the courtroom say the former director accused of lying to Congress, obstructing a congressional proceeding, entered the plea moments ago in front of the judge, Michael Nachmanoff, appointed by Joe Biden. Not guilty on both federal charges. He's accused of lying in front of Congress back in 2020. So that is the update inside the courtroom. And while that's happening in one part of Northern Virginia, this is happening across the director.
Okay. I mean, Comey obviously made false statements and obstructed a congressional proceeding. Eric Daughtry says there's an army of elderly protesters outside the courthouse standing with Comey. Lock him up. Yeah, the paid protesters, they're great. C3 says it's all on tape. Here's Comey pleading not guilty. Before I get to that, Kenneth, rock on. Kenneth tossing a 10 spot into the tip jar. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. He says, talking about what's going on with the Super Bowl halftime show, his vote would go to Kid Rock. Yeah, I mark my words. There will be counter programming to this Super Bowl halftime show. Mark my words. Is it a Turning Point USA event? I don't know who is exactly going to do it, but there is going to be a gathering. There will be a performance. There will be a counter program of large stature. And I think maybe multiple people will coalesce to bring some star power to it. And I think it's going to happen. You're going to want to announce it soon and then work the details out later. But yeah, and once you get the eyeballs, why don't you keep the programming going? Do a free show. Put the Super Bowl on mute for the rest of the... Oh, wouldn't that be weird? Because so many people watch the Super Bowl for the commercials. But if they leave because they don't want the commercial that the halftime show is delivering, maybe it would lead a new era where Super Bowl commercials are no longer as valuable because people decide they'd rather watch the game on mute than be programmed to. Oh, it was so funny. Did you see the cameo? Oh, neat CGI to it. Nobody cares. It is possible that the American public are going to say, I don't want to watch this stuff. Very interesting. But yeah, Kid Rock at a halftime show. I could see that. Thank you, Kenneth. Kenneth testing that the super chats work. They do. Thank you, everybody. All right. Here's James Comey in June of 2017, really digging himself into a problematic situation.
There should be no fuzz on this whatsoever. The Russians interfered in our election during the 2016 cycle. They did it with purpose. They did it with sophistication. They did it with overwhelming technical efforts. And it was an active measures campaign driven from the top of that government.
Look at his shifty eyes. He can't look them in the eye. He's like looking off in the distance, trying to repeat this. And when he does make eye contact, look at them darting at the person, away, dart at them, away, at them, away, at them, away, at them, away. Just look at the eye
with
movement.
Purpose. They did it with sophistication. They did it with overwhelming technical efforts. And it was an active measures campaign driven from the top of that government. There is no fuzz on that. It is a high confidence judgment of the entire intelligence community. And the members of this committee have seen the intelligence. It's not a close call. That happened. That's about as unfake as you can possibly get and is very, very serious, which is why it's so refreshing to see a bipartisan focus on that, because this is about America, not about any particular party.
So that was a hostile act by the Russian government against this country?
Yes, sir.
In that time frame, there were more than the DNC and the DCCC that were targets.
Correct. There was a massive effort to target government and non-governmental, near-governmental agencies like nonprofits.
What would be the estimate of how many entities out there the Russians specifically targeted in that time frame?
This is all a fake story.
It's hundreds. I suppose it could be more than 1,000, but it's at least hundreds.
It's fake in the same way that, 51 intelligence officials, they confirm that Hunter Biden laptop has all the classic earmarks of Russian disinformation. Well, we never said it was Russian disinformation. We just said it had all the classic earmarks of Russian disinformation. I can't stand how they're putting that together. It is so intentionally slimy and deceptive. Comey was protected until Tulsi released the documents showing the Soros, Clintons, and Obama created the Russia hoax. Enjoy prison. Comey just pled not guilty, says MJ Truth Ultra. Today's Delta, what is this? Image including James Comey behind bars now that Russia collusion has been proven a lie. When do the trials for treason begin? That's what we all want to know. Yeah, Dave Rubin reminding us what I just played you here. We will show up louder than we did the first October 7th. Calls for mass murder on the streets of New York City with Hamas flag in the background. Want to get in on this, Bongino, Gabbard, Cash, anyone, or nah?
If we acted enough!
This is what was going on last year at the Democrat convention in Chicago. Stephen Miller liked New York City better before we gave green cards to the Intifada. Ron DeSantis says the suicide of the West right here in America. What a destructive immigration policy this country has indulged in to the detriment of Americans for a generation. Islamists in NYC waving Hamas flags, declaring that they'll presumably carry out attacks in the U.S. All right, Adam puts this out, this video of Charlie Kirk saying that Netanyahu let October 7 happen so he could stay in power, and it's been removed from YouTube. I don't know that it's been removed from YouTube. He asks if there was a stand-down order on October 7th. Adam says there was. The border was empty for hours. They don't want you to see this. Well,
the government has a mandate. I got to be careful the way I say this. They're going to try to ethnically cleanse Gaza. Yep. I mean, I don't use that term lightly, okay? They're talking about basically removing 2.5 million people from there, okay? And honestly, they have a mandate to go seek justice and revenge. They do. This idea that they need to have a truce or a peace treaty, that's morally crap after you see women and children be burned alive and dragged to the streets. But there are some serious questions here, Patrick. And let me tell you, my pattern recognition over the last 5 years has become pretty sharp. COVID, Maui fires, Epstein. When I see a story and it doesn't click, our guts are usually right. So I've been to Israel many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still had the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that's an IDF soldier. Right, the whole country is surveilled, and so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel is on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu was basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here. But I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand-down order? Was there a stand-down order? 6 hours?
I mean, everyone is asking that same question. The flip side is, yeah, everyone else is asking that too. People aren't going off official narratives anymore. That era's done. Nayib Bukele says the homicide rate in El Salvador has decreased from 103 per 100,000 to 1 in 100,000. That's 102 per 100,000 less from 2015 to 2025. Bukele says you can just do things. Elon Musk says incarcerating repeat violent offenders causes violence to drop and many innocent lives to be saved. AF Post says Trump goes on a rant against the insanity of transitioning children in front of Canada's Prime Minister, Mark Carney. And Carney has a transsexual child, someone suffering from gender dysphoria. I didn't know that.
We have no men and women's sports. Basic things. We're not going to take your child away and change the sex of your child. We're not going to do things like that. What they're doing to the country is so incredible. And they got away with it with all their woke crap, and now it's stopped. We have...
These Trump visits are wild. You never know what you're going to sit through and how much of this is scripted so that you're delivering a clear message to the person without delivering a clear message to the person. It's very interesting. This happens often with Trump. Trash Panda pointing out Brandon Lake is the group that sang a lot of those songs at the memorial. All right. And what about the Brandon Lake group are you referencing? I'm trying to connect or finish the expansion of that thought there. Peter Lloyd says 3 Epping protesters have been jailed, and they're getting longer sentences than a migrant who sparked the disorder by assaulting a 14-year-old girl. These people have been sentenced to serve 2 years, according to Peter Lloyd, and that's a bigger sentence than this person who allegedly assaulted this 14-year-old girl that sparked them getting angry about it. Protesting attempted rape is punished more than attempted rape in Britain, says Elon Musk. And we said, pray for England. They have been invaded by tyrants and are being ruled by tyrants. It's madness in the UK where citizens are being attacked in their communities and in their court systems. It's eerily similar to the USA. Pam Bondi talking with Senator Amy Klobuchar, Democrat.
Senator Klobuchar, I'm not going to discuss personnel decisions, but the personnel issue that I'm having right now is that all of my agents, all of my lawyers are working. My agents are on the street working without a paycheck because your party voted to shut down the federal government.
Yeah, I don't understand what the Democrats are doing. You don't have the power. Just rubber stamp this, move on. You make a point, try to get a little closer. Like you're not going to get funding for these out of control things that the people don't want. Move on. Do the basic things that need to happen. You're abdicating your responsibility. It is dereliction of duty to not do your job. Pass the budget, move on. When you serve on a board of directors, you're one voice among many. You don't get to rule it like a king or a queen. You move on. You can't fight and win every battle. You got to fight the next battle sometimes. Okay, yeah. Brandon Lake is an alternative to the halftime show. Sorry, like I said, I'm juggling 30 things at once. I forget what stories we're even talking about sometimes. Here, how about this? You guys all agree here. Cat Turd says, I'm just going to be honest. I don't give a F about Pam Bondi's zingers to Democrats on a Senate hearing. Arrest these treason traitors or your words mean nothing. Sassafras84 says, that's what I'm saying, Cat Turd. F the noise, arrest the treasonous traitors. Do your job, Pam Bondi. Agreed. Laura Loomer says in his opening statement to AG Pam Bondi, ranking Senate Judiciary Democrat Dick Durbin accused Pam Bondi of covering up the Epstein files. It's a purely ballsy attack, pretty ballsy attack, considering that Durbin became enraged at Laura Loomer in January after we asked him why he blocked the Epstein flight log subpoena request by Senator Marsha Blackburn. Why didn't Durbin want to release the Epstein files when Biden was president? The answer is obvious. This is all one political game to get Trump. Bridget Gabriel shows this Palestinian scholar in France saying the quiet part out loud. We will conquer Paris and Rome, Vatican, and rule Europe with Islam. Is anyone listening? All right, I'm going to trust Bridget Gabriel's interpretation on that. You can watch that 2 minutes if you want. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services reported nationally in 2021, $7 billion was spent on healthcare for illegal aliens. In 2022, $4.5 billion was spent on healthcare for illegal aliens. In 2025, Democrats in the media claim that illegal aliens have never received Medicare or Medicaid services. Well, isn't that interesting?
1 out of every 4 migrants that has come to Denver has come to Denver Health for healthcare, on average for about 2.5 visits. So we saw 20,000 visits last year that we attribute to the migrant population. That's a lot of care that we weren't planning on giving.
Not planning for those people to come in, and as he mentioned, they're coming
Absolutely upending the budgets.
Coming in for maybe routine care. It's a trend across the country. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services says nationally in 2021, emergency services for someone who was undocumented patients, that totaled around $7 billion. The following year, $5.4 billion. And national statistics show that undocumented immigrants are less likely to have any type of insurance or even pay, up to 60%. The CEO of Denver Health says that she is unable to properly care for her properties, her buildings, as well as her patients.
We can't invest in the things that many other hospitals invest in. You know, during the cold spell, we just had a pipe burst and we had to take some beds out of operation. You know, had we been able to invest in that building, we might not have seen, that happen.
You know, Natasha, when we speak to some of these officials at a number of hospitals, they tell us that it is almost at a breaking point. They have to get more funding from federal officials, or they have to get more private donations. They simply cannot take care of the influx of people who are coming in for treatment.
Or the people who snuck in can go back to where they snuck in from, and they can enrich their nation. New York Times say Hunter Biden pursued a deal to sell land around the U.S. Embassy in Romania, reported by Mike Cernovich. Okay. Insurrection Barbie says you can wrap yourself up in a Bible and the American flag all you want, but if you push the idea that all of our problems are the result of a country the size of New Jersey and a group of people who make up 0.2% of the world's population, you are a Marxist. I don't know. I don't like that argument. We asked back, why do so many people reach similar conclusions? Insurrection Barbie. Oh, geez. We compare it to the Thanks Obama video by Jenna Marbles, where literally every minor inconvenience is because of Obama. It's a similar energy. But we are curious, why are so many people reaching similar conclusions? And it's also as absurd as Thanks Obama. Hard to figure out what my thought on the topic is, huh? I'm addressing multiple valid points at once. We're allowed to do that. Peter Diabroska says 1 of 5 people arrested at the Broadview, Illinois ICE facility is Emin Adbelhadi, who's, of course, is a professor of the University of Chicago. She has been charged with 2 counts of felony aggravated battery of a government employee and 2 misdemeanor counts of resisting and obstructing peace. Jack Posobiec says Charlie Kirk streets, Charlie Kirk schools, Charlie Kirk libraries, Charlie Kirk community centers normalize this. I'd be okay with that. Representative Nancy Mace says all the lawfare, all the weaponization, all targeting conservatives. It's not just James Comey either. When are we going to do something about it? When are the arrests? When are the prosecutions? When is jail time and for whom? Thank you, Nancy Mace. So we got a problem with this Hassan guy. Vote in our poll if Hassan must surrender his dog immediately. I'm not familiar with this guy, but the more I learn about him, the less I like him. He might allegedly be talking about his dog here, and we'll explain it in a second.
It's just such a lib ass, like, oh, dude, please don't get a Frenchie. I just wrote a Vox article talking about how problematic they are. Like, I don't give a fuck. I know they have breathing problems. I know they're incredibly fucking inbred. I don't give a shit. I know. I don't care. Like, I don't give a shit. This is a dog. It's just such a...
Okay. So in this video here, Tectone says, I've always wondered how Hassan kept his dog behind him all stream. It's because he's been using a shock collar on a setting so high that his dog effing screams when he uses it. Using your dog as a prop to seem more friendly, relatable, and down to earth when in reality, the dog isn't sitting there of his own volition, but stays there out of fear. I'm beyond disgusted. F this man. Don't even want to play this. I did play it once this morning, though, but you got to see it. You turn away if you don't want to see it.
Of all of America's much more consequential violence.
Okay, hold on. Got to go full screen so you can see it. Hassan Piker, is that who this is? Hassan.
Of all of America's much more consequential violence, okay? It's the same reason as to why America... Kaya, please just fucking go. Just stop. Jesus Christ. What are you doing? You're being such a baby.
Moving is being a baby, so I'm going to shock you with my shock collar to the point where you yelp in pain?
It's the same reason as to why America... Kaya, please just fucking go. Just stop. Jesus Christ. What are you doing? You're being such a baby.
Chaining an animal to a spot and shocking it if it moves. This animal needs to be rescued.
It's just... You're making her stressed. She just literally is so incredibly spoiled from my mom.
Spoiled from your mom, so you're going to shock it. It doesn't seem spoiled if you're shocking it.
No, she doesn't want to come over here to see what's up. She just wants to fucking roam the house because she got to roam the house when I was gone. And she needs to literally have the same structured, regimented...
This guy is an absolute weirdo control freak.
And she needs to literally have the same structured, regimented. I think that clip went to Trump's big baby desk immediately. I hate everything. I hate everything.
Yeah, you hate your dog, so it's time to surrender your dog. I don't even know that guy, but the more I learn, yeah, he needs the collar. Exactly. Alex Kennedy says a far-left group in Germany calls for the assassination of the AfD leader. Far-left group in Germany linked to the Die Linke party is circulating stickers showing AfD leader Alice Weidel in crosshairs with the words "aim here." The message is being taken as an open call for her assassination, especially alarming after the recent shooting of U.S. conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The group had mocked Kirk's death on Instagram. AfD has filed criminal charges. Reported by Mario Knopfel as well. Patriotic German politician from the AfD is brutally stabbed by Antifa terrorist after he confronts him for illegally tearing down election material. The unholy alliance of far left and Islamists threatens the very fabric of Western societies, putting everyone's safety at risk.
Halt! Bleiben wir stehen! Hinlegen! Sofort hinlegen! Hinlegen! Polizei! Hilfe! Polizei!
Okay, well, you got to fight for your country. And after a knife attack in Germany leaves 3 dead, support for the AfD has been surging, according to the AF Post. And we ask, are German MAGA members being Charlie Kirked? AfD is like the nationalist party of the country. 7 AfD politicians dead in the same region of Germany right before elections. Conspiracy or bizarre coincidence, asks Paul Joseph Watson.
Conspiracy or bizarre coincidence? Ahead of local elections coming up in North Rhine-Westphalia later this month, a total of 7 AfD political candidates have now suddenly died within about 2 weeks of each other in the same region of Germany. Professor Stefan Homburg called the deaths statistically impossible, and that was when there'd only been 4. Now there's been 3 more. AfD's co-leader in North Rhine-Westphalia largely dismissed the notion of any kind of conspiracy. The police said the deaths were either a result of natural causes, or were not being revealed for privacy reasons. The 4 initial deaths all involved men in the late 50s, 60s or early 70s, and the AfD isn't even poised to win these elections. They're set to come a pretty distant third. So it's not like taking out these candidates would rob them of a victory they were never set to achieve. Violent attacks on AfD members have become commonplace. In 2022, it was 660 cases where politicians or members of the AfD were attacked, but it's pretty fucking weird that conspiracy.
There's an assassination culture happening. Got to figure out what kind of world we want to create. Laura Loomer's convinced the person who murdered Charlie Kirk is in custody. His name is Tyler Robinson, and he's a radical leftist. Laura Loomer says these podcasters are paid to induce psychosis into the masses by making you think reality isn't reality. Tyler's DNA is on the gun. He killed Charlie, and the FBI is investigating who else in his Discord chat knew ahead of time. I'm not going to entertain wild conspiracy theories that make 0 sense. There's literally no connection between the murder and a donor who decided to not donate. Do people realize how nonsensical this sounds? Why do people choose to embrace stupidity? They're acting like the shooter is on the run. The shooter is in custody. I don't know. Seems like you're protesting too much. Do you believe the shooter is guilty or just a patsy? Question of the day, QOTD, is do you believe the shooter is in custody or the shooter is the patsy? And it has been 2 years as of yesterday since Hamas declared war with Israel. 2 years. Tucker Carlson here is discussing what's happening in Texas, how they're trying to overthrow and change Texas.
58% of the births in Texas are Medicaid births. 58%? 58%. So think about this a second, Tucker. 20 years ago, Medicaid was 3% of the Texas budget. Now it's the number 2 driver of the budget. And it's due in large part to illegal immigration. People come across the border, have their babies. Sometimes they go back, sometimes they don't. We are destroying our children and grandchildren's ability to have any kind of future whatsoever. We're drilling holes in the bottom of the lifeboat. 58% of the births.
That is wild. So yeah, GOP lawmakers sound alarm over alleged FBI surveillance program. The only way we can fix it, says Bill Haggerty, Tennessee Senator, Republican. The only way we can fix this is to go in, open it up, let the American people see how bad it was, and make certain that it never happens again. Town Hall reporting that the Trump administration announced, well, let's listen to the Fox News report here, I suppose.
As promised, breaking moments ago, more than $200 billion coming into the coffers in tariffs, and now we're learning where some of that money will go. The White House has just announced that the Women and Children Food Program will not be cut off while the government is shut down. Some of the money,
so they're going to transfer tariff revenue to the Women and Children Food Program. Well, what about the men and women and children? Why is it just women and children, not men? I don't know. I thought we don't discriminate like that anymore. Got a problem with that. But Santa Surfing says this is how the new government will work. Tariff funds assigned directly to a program in a useful agency. It's direct funding, no appropriations that Congress controls. Those days are over. Congress can't touch these funds. Lots of broke Congress people will be screaming because they won't get their kickbacks. New Braunfels SD in Texas school district has an online database for books available, according to Libs of TikTok, for children in their school libraries. In just one of their middle schools, there are 40 LGB, etc. themed books and over 80 books on racism. There are hundreds of these books available across all the schools, including elementary, middle, and high schools. Parents, do you know what your kids are reading? Do you know what they're trying to do to your kids? Katie Porter had a terrible interview. I asked, though, is this a guy dressing as a girl? I don't know Katie Porter. Jesse Kelly says, sometimes I forget that Katie is likely the next governor of California. Sheriff Chad Bianco says, not if I can help it. He wants to be the new governor. Jennifer Van Laar says, California gubernatorial candidates rightly smell blood in the water. Here's Mike Davis saying, hey, here's a translation. After 8 years, Senate Republicans finally care about lawfare because they just learned 8 of them were also spied on by the FBI. Dan Scavino Jr. put this out, just eating popcorn. Yeah. Oh, now you're going to pay attention to it. You ignored me. Julie Kelly says, I just remembered that time Jack Smith sought and received a gag order against a former president and a leading GOP presidential candidate, banning him from saying mean things about people involved in the prosecution, including Jack Smith himself. Judges denied that part, though. Chicago One Ray says, no way. The judge presiding over the case of Miramar Martinez and Santos Ruiz ordered that they be released from custody. People that rammed the ICE agents' cars. You don't release those people. It doesn't make any sense. I shot Maggie 5 times. They're asking if Pam Bondi should supersede the ruling and revoke the bond. The domestic terrorists. Calvin Robinson went to confront the Mohammedan Antichrist mayor of Dearborn, but he didn't show to the council that evening. More to come on that. The Dearborn mayor refuses to apologize for telling a Christian minister he's not welcome here. I guess there's no reason to care about something like that unless you would care about something like that. Dearborn mayor refuses to apologize for telling a Christian minister he's not welcome here. Barry Weiss with this interview. Released hostage Eli Sharibi describes the horrors of the tunnels where Hamas held him. It's not good. There's vermin, there's cockroaches, there's worms, it's a bad situation. It's torture. Yeah, so we're asking if we can report this person for animal abuse, shocking this dog, seeing if PETA can assist. I don't even know who you're supposed to go after. What's the guy's name? Hassan Piker, yep. Abusing animals, not surprising. Communists are cruel control freaks. There you go. If there's no hesitation to hurt a little animal on camera, what would he do off camera? Yep. And here's a guest with the dog and noticing something. This dog needs to get rescued.
And now it's mainstream. I love her. I think her collar's too tight.
Well, it's here we get.
You have to be able to get 2 fingers, and I couldn't even get one. I think you're choking her.
She's like, it's she has a lot of neck meat.
Uh-huh. You're choking your dog with the shock collar. 2 fingers, you can't fit one. You're choking it and you're shocking it. Yeah, someone just go rescue that dog. Call animal control. Welsh parents were branded racist for objecting to an unannounced Islam lesson at Swansea Primary School. During the lesson, one child said, "I'm Christian. I don't pray to Allah." The response from the Muslim running the lesson was, "By year 6, you'll all be Muslim." This is happening in Australia too, says Lazi B. The word racist is being misused as a weapon to silence people from speaking up. They've been doing that for decades. Time to scream from the rooftops. Ban Islam from the schools.
About an Islam lesson. Let me explain. Seaview Primary School in Swansea recently brought in a representative from a local mosque to teach the school children about Islam. But parents complained that Christian denominations don't get the same representation in their religious education lessons. Apparently, parents were not informed about the visits beforehand, and then when some objected to the lessons, they were apparently made to feel as though they were racist. Children were being marked down on things like misspelling mosque or Quran. But there is a bit more to this. There is even the claim that one of the children said, "I'm Christian, I don't pray to Allah," and that the person who came in to that school to give that talk and to be with the children said that by the time you hit year 6, you will all be Muslim. Well, local Reform UK councillor Francesca O'Brien organised a public meeting this morning to discuss the issue. She joins me now live.
Yep, reject the silencing techniques. "15 years later, Washington Post editorial board says Obamacare was never actually affordable." Wow, thanks. Stephen Moore says the Washington Post just admitted what conservatives have been saying for 15 years. The real problem is that Obamacare was never actually affordable. Even Jeff Bezos' paper can't ignore the truth anymore. Once you create dependency on government handouts, it becomes politically perilous, if not impossible, to fully claw it back. Jay Jones text controversy. He wished Gilbert's wife would watch her own child die in her arms so that Gilbert might reconsider his political views. Corey DeAngelis here says, "Oh, no, you don't. You're not going to just tweet through this. You wished Gilbert's wife could watch that. You're a disgrace, Jones. Jay, drop out." Jay Jones. Chuck Schumer's lying.
We're not pushing to give health insurance to undocumented immigrants. That's a lie. It's been proven to be a lie over.
No, it's actually true. And you know it. And if you would just change the part related to this, then what? Then it would be fine and you could just vote for it then. You're keeping stuff in there that's going to intentionally steal Americans' money and give it to people you invited in illegally into this country. Many of them are abusing our citizens. So now all of them have to leave because of what you did, your Democrat Party did. Everybody out, background checks for all. The Democrats are trying to steal your money and give it to illegal alien invaders.
Over and over again, but he doesn't care. He just keeps restating the lie because he's so afraid of the truth.
Yeah, Chuck Schumer is the worst communicator in the Democrat Party. Prove me wrong. Pastor Rob McCoy angrily calls those who question the Israeli connection in Charlie Kirk's assassination anti-Semites and says, "Take your hate elsewhere." This was filmed 4 days after.
With this conspiracy, get over yourself. Dan is a believer. I love that man.
Get over yourself. Bro, there's a 72-hour rule where nobody knows anything about anything. You're saying on day 4, one day after that 72-hour window, if nobody knows anything accurate, you want people to get over themselves by not lapping up whatever's being spoon-fed to them? Anybody who would tell me something like that, my spidey senses are tingling at this. This seems very weird. Rob McCoy.
Why didn't he check the roof? I don't know. I do know that they do. I know they have a limited detail. President Trump was shot. Kennedy was shot. RFK was shot. Where were they? There's some things, no matter how hard you try, and especially with Turning Point growing exponentially and trying to figure out the dimensions of what to do. And how are they supposed to get on a roof when the campus police have the keys to all that?
What? You have drones in the sky, of course. What are you talking about? It sounds like you're protesting too much. It just sounds like a weird stance to take, and I need to be very boldly laying out bullet points about this topic. It doesn't make sense to me.
Just calm down.
Calm down.
And I'm sorry, what's the latest one for all you anti-Semites? The Israelis put a hit on him? Oh, please. Just take your hate elsewhere.
You're not supposed to question hate. Okay, so it's hate to question what everybody's questioning. It's hateful. No, what's hateful is ignoring reality. And that's what this guy's trying to convince us to do. Just, no, don't investigate that enemies were recently made and he feared for his life, according to many places. Confirmed reports. Yeah, that's motive. This was an organized hit. This was very tactical. This wasn't some sloppy, random, accidental thing. This was very premeditated. We're trying to make excuses for not having drones in the sky to take a look at roofs. Are you kidding? Something's off about this. In the comments section, do you know anything about Pastor Rob McCoy? I don't know anything about him. I do. I've watched a video or two of him.
There's no credence in any of that.
How does he know 4 days into an investigation if there's any credence to something or not? How could anybody have that much certainty at this stage? This is 4 days after.
You had a man raised in a God.
Or 3 days after. I mean, if this happened in the afternoon, I mean,
fearing home that got twisted and indoctrinated.
How do you know that 4 days in? You don't know that. You know that that's one version of what some people are putting together as a potential explanation. There's been no trial on that. That has not been proven. Why would this guy be so adamant? I don't know. This feels very off to me.
And everyone who is involved in lies with subtlety of deception without any fact, you're participating and you've got blood guilt. God operates in truth, not your stupidity. And I'm calling it what it is. You're complicit. That's almost like what's this, a precatory psalm?
Okay. Yoshi the Patriot put this here. Josh Hammer said Charlie Kirk discussed with him for an hour on how to counter anti-Semitic narratives the night before his death. Josh was in that group chat. Clearly, Candace Owens is only showing half the conversation for a reason. Charlie Kirk quote, Jewish donors have been the #1 funding mechanism of radical open borders, neoliberal quasi-Marxist policies, according to this Machiavelli post. Deep dive into Israel and banking with the Rothschilds. usury, banks, and becoming debt slaves. Nick Sorter here. Chief of Portland Police spotted after his meeting with Kristi Noem. He looks like he's about to cry, says he.
I'm going to give this to somebody. Be careful.
All right, more of a deep dive with Tucker about the war from 2 years ago. It's 2.5 minutes here. Louisiana Deputy Sheriff Charles Riley murdered when he was shot and killed interviewing a suspect at the Iberville Parish Courthouse. There's the Eric Trump exchange with Chris Cuomo. Police arrest leftist pro-Palestine rioters. Militants gathered for direct action in support of the anniversary of the October 7 terror attack. Andy No shows arrests happening here. Berkeley Beacon. This is madness. Okay. Carolyn Levitt says the Democrats are so cruel in their continual votes to shut down the government that they forced the WIC program for the most vulnerable women and children to run out this week. So thankfully, President Trump and the White House identified a creative solution to transfer resources from Section 232 tariff revenue to this critical program. Trump White House will not allow impoverished mothers and their babies to go hungry because of the Democrats' political games. That's game, set, match. Well done. Joe Burnett says, half of corporate America spends all day clicking around Excel and Outlook thinking AI is the bubble. No, bro, your salary is the bubble. Benny Johnson with Kristi Noem. CNN keeps lying about how safe it is in Portland.
Up to that, CNN in the White House yesterday, Caitlin Collin goes viral saying, Portland's safe, Portland's beautiful, there's no crime in Portland. Your response to that?
Well, I disagree. We should have invited her to come along today. She would have been able to see the individuals that were getting off the street.
Should have invited her to come along today so she could see the individuals who are getting off the streets.
And then talk with the law enforcement officers that are here every day doing God's work, making sure that America still continues to be the greatest country in the world.
Is that an open invitation to CNN to come along on the next one?
You know, absolutely. We will talk to her and see what we can do to convince her to come out in the real world, get out from behind the desk and actually walk in the shoes of our law enforcement. That would be fantastic. Maybe that's how we fix the fake news in this country.
Up to that.
I mean, that's probably a pretty good idea. Abigail Spanberger voted to let men into girls' locker rooms and bathrooms, and now Virginia girls are begging schools to keep them safe. She's as anti-woman as it gets. Winsome Earl Sears trying to win governor in Virginia. Good luck to her. All of a sudden, the tone at Turning Point changed. What Candace Owens is saying is true. Charlie Kirk text message threads are real. He was being blackmailed by his Jewish donors. He agreed with Tucker Carlson on issues. Jewish donors were threatening him with cutting donations. Charlie Kirk was being defiant and saying he wouldn't be controlled by them. He was never going to be controlled by other people. You could not be controlled by other people. You could not buy him. He was not bought and paid for. You could not control him with money.
Right? He was asked, I think this may be what you were about to say, Blake. He was asked about Candace before in public, and he would always say, listen, we're friends. He would never say an ill word about her. And if people, tried to force him to do that about Tucker or whatever, he would always be defiant because he didn't want to be morally blackmailed.
Exactly. Charlie was loyal to people who had ever been friends to him, whether it was very old donors or just people who had worked with Turning Point. And as long as they were not attacking him, he would not air any dirty laundry or, frankly, any disagreements he had with people. He did disagree with Candace on the Israel issue. He disagreed with Tucker on the Israel issue. But he also recognized Tucker had positions they agreed on. Tucker was a useful voice in the conservative movement on many things. And so he invited him to events, and, you know, they were popular events. And so he would react. Sometimes people would just say, yeah, don't invite him, or we're going to, you know, cut off some large donation. And that would make him angry. He would say this, yeah, as you say, this is moral blackmail. And he's this Scottish guy. He's combative. His reaction to that is, you know, the classic, like, screw me, no, screw you, you know, that sort of thing.
He had this, and it's one of my favorite parts about Charlie is just how, like, defiant and independent he was. Yeah, he was never going to
He could not be controlled by other people.
You could not buy him. He was not bought and paid for. You could not control him with money. It just wasn't the way he was wired. He didn't actually care about money that much.
And so what's going on here? What is going on here? You guys can look up what the text say. What is going on is Charlie, as I mentioned, he loved Israel. He cared about Israel. He cared about the Holy Land. And he was aware there was a surge of anti-Israel sentiment on the right. Charlie thought seriously about this issue and was trying to chart a path forward for people who were sympathetic to Israel. He was playing the good cop here. He was saying, you guys don't realize how bad it could potentially get. You have to change your PR. That's why he writes a letter to Bibi. You are losing the PR war. You need to change how you do your PR. You need to change your messaging to the American right. You might need to change what you expect from us, that you're not going to be able to count on just, for example, unlimited military aid from America. That's just not going to be tenable going forward. So maybe it has to be a more passive relationship. Maybe you need to give more support towards America. Like, so, some more support towards America in, for example, opposing Islamic migration into America. That's one thing he thought we could ally on. And he was trying to do all of this because he cared about the relationship and wanted to chart a way forward on it. And he would feel angry and upset when people would react to this by blowing up and suggesting he was an anti-Semite or a hater. He would get angry about that because he knew it was untrue. And then he would sometimes vent about this. He would vent about this to people who understood that, who were pro-Israel people who shared his view on that issue.
Well, exactly. And just why I, didn't share this publicly, it was because...
And by the way, I think people everywhere are sick and tired of being insulted, slandered, libeled. Oh, you're this, you're that, you're this bad name. It's non-stop name calling to the point where most people are just numb to it, immune to it. If you're trying to get a quick one over on somebody by calling them a name and hoping they're going to back down to your threats, that's threats. That's terroristic acts. And that's been happening, like I said, for decades, to get people to silently comply. Just, okay, well, I don't want to get in trouble.
This was a private message between Charlie and some people, some Jews and non-Jews, where he was, frustrated. He was frustrated. And that would have felt like a betrayal to my friend because he never said anything like that publicly in like a show, right? He said things with Meghan that were very, like, we just played them. I went on Alex Clark's show and I felt like I did a faithful job of expressing what I believed his genuine feelings were.
And it's pretty impossible to be put in the position where you got to keep speaking for somebody else. They're not there and you're doing the best you can. I don't envy being in that position either. What is this? Dr. Malouf says a Palestinian Islamic preacher from Gaza says virgins of paradise will have no menstruation, saliva, mucus, urine, or excrement. Every Muslim man will be given the sexual strength of 100 men and have several wives and slaves. Why is it all about sex in the afterlife for them? Asks Dr. Malouf. Huh. ICE attacks are getting worse by the day. More and more calculated. Intelligence indicates these people are making plans to ambush and kill ICE agents, says DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Stephen A. Smith has thoughts about Chicago.
This ain't about Trump in Chicago. It's not about Republicans in office. It's not about Republicans having the House or the Senate. It's about no matter who the hell is in office or who's out of office, the same problems persist in the streets of Chicago. And you got black people clamoring for national interference and federal assistance. Legally, I support Governor Pritzker in what he's saying. Trump has no business going this far. I get that.
Going this far to defend the federal properties that are under attack from the Democrat domestic terrorist machine. He has a responsibility to defend these properties and these actions. He's getting attacked in a coordinated civil war type attack. You don't defend J.B. Pritzker allowing this.
I'm just saying respectfully to Governor Pritzker. That might be applicable anywhere else but in Chicago. It's been a mess. And black people have been dying left and right.
But who cares about black people? It's about people, Stephen A. Pritzker's white, you're black, I'm white. It doesn't matter. I actually care about the people of Chicago. I've been to Chicago several times. I like the city. I like the people. I like the place. And I hate that it's such a mess and it's this violent and that they're allowing it to happen.
I'm not going to sit idly by and say nothing. Something got to be done. And I'm not saying it's what Trump has to do, but if what Trump is trying to do brings attention to the point where it alarms a nation as to what is transpiring in the streets of Chicago, then so be it. Desperate times, desperate measures.
It's so desperate to consider anything Trump has to say is potentially valid. It's not desperate, Stephen A. What's desperate is going against your own people, your own community residents, strictly for political reasons. That's desperate.
I got love for all of us as a human race. But I'm a black man, and I ain't going to sit here and act like my love.
Don't make it racial.
Black people.
Don't make it racial, Stephen A. You're losing us. It doesn't need to be racial. Could be anybody in the Chicago community, regardless of, it's not about skin color. It's about violent criminal actions. It's not about people from Mexico. It's about anybody illegally in the country that didn't take the CBP home app to go back out and then come back in the front door because the Democrats lied to them. Don't make this about skin. You're going off topic, Stephen A. Smith.
For my own.
No, our own are Americans. And dividing by race is part of the problem, by skin color. Who cares what the skin color is? I care about the actions. Did someone break into the country illegally? Do they have known criminal problems that would prohibit them from coming in here normally? Get them all out. You're either down with that or you're causing a problem and you're acting as an anti-American invading force. You're committing treason to harm this country. Not about skin color, Stephen A.
Doesn't supersede almost anything else. It's hard reading about, seeing, watching, hearing all of this stuff going on in Chicago for decades.
You're talking about the rampant bloodbath. They call it Chirac for a reason.
With little to nothing being done about it.
The Democrats have been doing exactly what they wanted to do, which is nothing. They're not doing anything to help the bad situation.
I'm not saying Trump is right.
You're allowed to say that, Stephen A. Because he is.
I'm saying times in Chicago should be considered so desperate that even though he should be stopped from bringing the National Guards in, perhaps, Governor Pritzker, you should say, you know what? I do need federal assistance. I may not want the National Guard, but let's sit down and talk and figure out something. Because clearly what we're doing in Chicago ain't enough. You should at least be able to do that. You and Mayor Johnson.
I think Stephen A. is angling to run the Democrat Party in 2028. Keep that in mind. Trump drops the hammer on wealthy donors who are providing aid and resources to left-wing anarchists. They're looking at the people who are funding this. George Papadopoulos responds to CIA Director John Ratcliffe releasing intelligence about Ukraine and Biden in the public interest. Papadopoulos says, now you understand why Joe Biden ousted Ukraine's special prosecutor looking into the Biden's family business in Ukraine. It's unmatched public corruption. Kash Patel and the FBI are flexing resources for Windy City crime crackdown as part of Trump administration's focused effort. Stephen Miller has a great commentary here about the lying legacy media members and the wimpy white liberals who are going along with crime infestation like it's not a problem. Well, it is a problem to the people that have to live around it.
I don't care how you slice it. This man is telling the truth.
You all choose to live in condos or homes or houses as far away from these kinds of...
This is music. As far away from these gangbangers as you possibly can. If I offer any one of you a rent-free home with no taxes to live in any of these gang-infested neighborhoods, teen terrorists or Mexican mafia or Sinaloa cartel or Tren de Aragua, I couldn't pay you to live there. But yet you, with your coverage, you're trying to force innocent Americans to have these people as their neighbors and that one day their daughter may be abducted from their home and art and murdered. And you won't get an ounce of sympathy from this administration or President Trump for the terrorists who have invaded our homes in our country. That's pretty well said. All right, I think that's the extent of what I wanted to share with you today. Danette says, I'm going to say that it was very coordinated. At first, they went after nonviolent illegal immigrants to rile up the community and activists turn us on each other. Nationwide. Where's next? Memphis? I don't know. These deep blue Democrat cities have been run into the ground for a very long time, and the lawlessness has been permitted for a very long time. Much like Stephen A., I'm very excited that I'm happy having lived in a big blue city for a very long time. I just couldn't understand why we were getting no help. And the worst of the worst, the people committing 95% of the problems just kept getting dumped right back on the streets, arrested, and that they would not keep them away. And they kept coming back and causing 95% of the problems. It was maddening. So yeah, with up to 30, 40 million illegal aliens brought in by Joe Biden and the Obama puppet masters, it's time to recalibrate all the stuff. All of the congressional seats, the voting standards. You got to be careful not to be pushed into digital ID, but we definitely have to get control of our country again if we want to keep it. And I like the promise of this country. I like the promise of what we could potentially provide. But we got a lot to make up. We got a lot of stuff to fix. But that's why we do the news as often as we do. I used to do it twice a week. I mean, geez, we do a show on Thursday, and by the time we get to Tuesday, an entire week of stuff had happened. And I'm like, I have so many thoughts. There's so much happening. Even today, I probably left 20, 30 stories on the table. But we will be back tomorrow at noon. Kenneth with the super chat. Good night, Daddy. Good night, son. Calling you son. No, super cool. Thank you for tossing some dollar coins into the tip jar today. Definitely appreciate you. Those super chats. Yeah, anybody else on YouTube, the tip jar is open on super chats and memberships. That's just a reoccurring monthly thing, just like a Patreon. If it's easier to do there, please consider signing up for a membership on YouTube. And if you could be so kind as to watch some extra content, we have 490 something hours that we need to watch so we can qualify for our advertisements on YouTube again. So I appreciate you. Danette, you said, don't leave. We will be good. No, I'm just running out to the corner store. I've just got to get some milk and some cigarettes. I'll be right back. Ay, these people. I oughta. Yeah, I really could. I could just kind of hang out. Danette, did you get earbuds? Did you find new earbuds now? Did you say you're getting a new job, or were you making a joke about something? Can't quite keep up with all the chat I thought I was seeing. But yeah, we know you're missing all your earbuds. And that was causing a problem. Thank you, Kenneth, for the super chat. Please follow us in all the places. The New American Media, scrolling at the bottom of your screen, is on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube at The New American Media. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. We're on X at American_media_. Please subscribe to our podcast at The Agree to Disagree Show on Spotify and Apple. All right. That's where I'm going to leave it for now. I'll be back tomorrow. Signing out on behalf of everybody at their TNAM universe. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.